afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Tex Messages The Resurrection. I'm the parasite of the show, Rick Tex. We're broadcasting out of Elk River, Minnesota, which at this time of the year is very cold. This is the deep north, well, we're in central Minnesota. It actually gets a little colder up in more northern Minnesota, International Falls, Bemidji, up in that district. But it's still pretty cold here in Elk River, Minnesota. In fact, we have a bit of a cold front this week. It's going to be, apparently there's going to be a low of 28 Fahrenheit on Wednesday. So that'll definitely, today is Sunday, January 27, 2019. So minus 28 below Fahrenheit will likely be a record for the last 20 years. Not a permanent all-time record. Well, it might be actually. And those records were kept, they started to be kept in the late 1800s. So I mean, it's not like they've, it's a modern day record or anything like that. But I mean, yeah, the Earth is probably millions of years old and all that good fun stuff. So to have a record that's only 120, 30, 40, 50 years, whatever, whenever they started in the late 1800s, relative to the length of the actual time that the Earth has been here, yeah, it's not that much. But it's still going to be very cold, ladies and gentlemen. So we just need to bear down and get through it. Fortunately, the Tex Messages Resurrected studio is indoors, so that makes our life a little bit easier. And today we were able to utilize some natural lighting. In fact, it's only about, let's see here, 2:30 in the afternoon, so we still have plenty of sunlight, and this room does utilize a lot of natural lighting. One of the reasons why it does that is to keep low on costs, and it's just better overall for your health to have natural lighting rather than weird fluorescent flickering artificial lighting that does all the weird stuff with your brain and your unconscious mind and everything. So, and we've got a couple LEDs here, the shop lights there, and the natural lighting there. So we're getting hit on all fronts, which means the green screen should be working out pretty good. And one of these days we probably will utilize the green screen to have video on video, which will be sort of an interesting concept really, because it'll be me saying stuff and everything. And then on the background here, we'll probably have some other type of video. That way, it's sort of, you're getting two in one then. It's like if you're not really interested in the messages of Tex Messages The Resurrection, and you don't really care about your health or being informed or entertained or anything like that, then you'll still have some other type of entertainment to watch on the green screen here. So that is something that we probably will look into. And we're also looking at doing just a comedy, probably just a one-time comedy show thing in the near future, along with, we were probably going to do a commercial one of these days, but some of the filming may involve the outdoors, which is very impractical. It's not very pragmatic this time of the year. Number one, the camera could break and frostbite and all that stuff, so it's not advantageous right now to do any outdoor filming. Now, what we wanted to discuss today, ladies and gentlemen, is cocaine addiction. Now, a couple of researchers, they found two brain areas that get stronger with cocaine use. They link the medial geniculate nucleus, MGN, in the thalamus, which is a sensory which processes sensory inputs such as sound. See, that's how your brain works. You got the five senses: touch, taste, sound, sight, smell. And your brain can interpret all those five senses and make use out of them. And yeah, there's probably thousands, millions of other senses too that aren't available to human perception. Some people say they have a sixth sense, so that would be they can sense something other than those five that I just rattled off. Now, so yeah, there's a lot more going on in our plane of existence than we're probably aware of. There's probably several other planes of existence out there. But the fact of the matter is, what these researchers found is that if they target certain brain circuitry, that could help the relapse from cocaine addiction. And one of the things you may have noticed is if you're going to eat something that tastes delicious, you'll smell bacon, for example. You'll smell the bacon, and then your brain will start getting excited, and your salivary glands will start making the saliva, and then you'll be ready to eat it. So if somebody's cooking bacon and you're not actually going to eat bacon, it's rather agitating because you're all excited and pumped up for it, but then it's not available for your consumption. So that's usually how the brain works. It prepares you for what it feels is going to happen in the near future. Now, if you do a lot of cocaine and meth and all that stuff, opioids, if you get those trigger symptoms of what you usually experience before using the drug, your brain will start preparing you for the pleasures. And if you're attempting to get off of those drugs and you get, they call them triggers, trigger symptoms or whatever they call them. So when you come across these triggers, your brain will start getting all excited and pumped up and everything too. And then it'll be a lot more difficult to resist the temptation of relapsing. And what they found is, well, So 2 areas of the brain that got stronger with cocaine use, the medial geniculate nucleus and the lateral amygdala, which is for reward and motivation. So if you shut that off, then basically you'll probably just want to sit around all day and not do anything. So what the finding confirmed is that strengthening the synapses in the MGN-LA, which is the medial geniculate nucleus and the lateral amygdala, when they strengthen those synapses between the MGN and the LA, it helps to form and reinforce memories that link drug highs with environmental cues that accompany them. Now, a lot of people that try to get off of, a lot of people that go through therapy, exposure therapy, one of the common strategies there is to eradicate phobia, addiction, and post-traumatic distress disorder it's avoiding those triggers or the environmental cues that accompany them. Now, it's not always possible, but what these researchers found is they tried to manually shut off the brain activity in rats, and then they got rid of the cues. And both strategies worked for helping to alleviate the relapse of the drug addiction. See, what they did is they gave rats, if a rat pushed a lever, they gave him cocaine and all that, and then after a while they stopped giving him cocaine, but he still pushed the lever for a long time, and then they just shut off the brain synapses, so then the rat just stopped pushing the lever after that. It was a lot later than when they took away the cocaine. So I'm probably doing a very horrible job of explaining it, but the reality is the environmental cues are actually stronger than the manual mode of shutting off the brain. Now, yeah, you could say it's a test fallacy that they weren't able to shut off that part of their brain well enough, which is a fair argument, and certainly one that I wouldn't hold a contrarian point of view against you. But the reality is, to eradicate a lot of these drug addictions, it's very important to do environmental avoidance. Is just all situations in general. Situational avoidance usually will help you to eradicate any bad scenarios that you may find yourself in. Now say for example you want to sell pharmacy prescription drugs to people, and the pharmacy representatives are very beautiful, attractive women, and they agree to engage in certain activities with you if you sell their drugs. Now, the best strategy would be to just avoid meeting them altogether, because if you get caught in that situation, you're not sure what you'll do under the temptation of beautiful women around you, or if you're female, then possibly beautiful males around you. So that's where situational avoidance comes into play, ladies and gentlemen. It'd be like if you don't want to get run over by Bigfoot, you don't drive your car out into the U.S. Bank Stadium or the Metrodome while Bigfoot's driving around. That one's a bit more of a no-brainer, but it's just common sense once again. Common sense always seems to prevail. It's one of the things that very rarely ever, occasionally lets me down, but usually it's just due to a lack of common sense. And yeah, common sense does evolve. You certainly have to learn it over time. But yeah, one of the key factors to see alcoholics, for example, if they go to parties or whatever and people are drinking alcohol there, then that's a cue to them, an environmental cue. So then they'll start drinking too. So if they don't go to the parties, they may not drink. But if you're the type of alcoholic that drinks all the time by yourself, and then you go home and maybe a TV show comes on that you typically watch while you were drinking in the past, and now you're trying not to drink, so it's an environmental cue. Just getting rid of things like that is the key to addiction eradication. Oh yeah, we're all addicted to something. Some of us might be addicted to sugars or opioids or whatever the case may be. But the fact of the matter is, we're coming to the end of this show, of this 10-minute broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back for the second segment pretty soon here. We thank you very much for joining us, and we'll be back. We appreciate your patronage.